Welcome to my winter studio. Yesterday I had some fun rearranging the studio. I did nothing major, but I feel like now I'll be ready to work even though it's getting dark at like 3 p.m. which is so sad, but now I have a good setup which I'm going to show you right now. So usually I work next to the window. During the summertime, I can work next to that window for hours and hours and hours and hours until it gets dark at like 7? So it gives me a lot of time. But these days, it gets dark so early. In the previous years, I was using these lights right there to create additional lighting for the winter time. I'm gonna show you what last year's setup was. Last year, in the middle of the room, I had one light here, pointing towards me, and I would just move the table that is next to the window. I would just move it here, light the lights. But to get from the door to the chair, because I would just rotate the chair like this, I would have to go under the light and then sit here. So that table, which you're standing on right now, would just move. And it took up the whole room. It wasn't the best, you know, when you like to create art, you like to have your studio, well, at least for me, I like that my studio is open. I like to see all my material. I like it to be ready for me to start working in right now. I don't want to have to rearrange everything around depending on the time of day. But that's what I had to do for these past few years. So this year, I don't know why I never thought of that before. I did a different setup. Let me show you. So now this is my setup. I have an L-shaped setup. So when it's daytime, I just work here in front of the window. But when it gets dark, I can just move my chair and work here. I just have to turn on these two lights. And I have a well-lit working area. This makes me so happy. So what's nice about it is that I have this whole area to work on. This table is a bit bigger than this one. So I can work on my paintings on each side, have some extra material here, and I'm right next to my little tower where I have even more materials. And what I did is I'm working on a new series. If you watch my last videos, you know about it. All my other paintings of that same series to the side here, so it's easy for me to refer back to them. Oh, so that makes me so happy, and it's so well lit. And I feel like the way I arrange stuff, my room almost looks bigger. But I added these two big bulky lights. But even though I did that, I feel like it looks bigger somehow. So now I only have to move this chair from here to here, and we're done. Now that I've flipped my setup, I'm going to continue working on this painting that I started. Well, I started the sketch a few days ago, but yesterday I started adding some paint. I always like to do the sky first and the water, if there is any. There has been water in pretty much all of my paintings. It's pretty much a common theme that I have. Now I'm going to start working on the pencil layer. If you've watched one of my latest videos, you'll see that I put all of my color palette in here just so I don't get confused with all of my colors, because when I went up north I had a limited color palette which I used to create these smaller paintings here. And when I came back here I wanted to continue working on the same series, but I had access to a lot more colors and I wasn't sure exactly which one I brought with me up north. So I did this video a few weeks ago where I swatched a bunch of colors and I tried to identify which pencil I used to create my other paintings, so I keep a cohesive color palette. So all of them are right here, or at least most of them, the ones I have been able to identify. I'm gonna use that to work on my painting. One thing I want to do this time is try to work from left to right, because I tend to start with the right side and then I work on the left and I just smudge everything up. It hasn't had any big consequences so far, but it's just annoying because my hand ends up to be all dirty. So lefties, I really feel you. I don't know why I'm doing that to myself. It's not necessary, but yeah. I finished the first layer of my drawing. Everything is covered with pencil. Some areas I already put a little bit of watercolor on there just because I had to mix the perfect shade. And now I'm going to move on to my winter station because it's 3:30 and it's already starting to get dark. So we're gonna just move my setup and then I'm going to start applying some water. Today is November 29th. Yesterday I went to a class where we learned woodworking to make frames. So it was so fun. I'm gonna show you. It was me and my boyfriend and a few other people, but we could make 2 frames per person. So in total I have 4 frames now. And it was so fun. It was nice to learn how to use the big power tools. I don't know how it's called in English, but the big round saw that turns and you take the head of the saw and then you lower it, you cut your piece and then you put it back up. That one. And then the one that does like the finishing touches, it's like a triangle cutter tool that turns, and you pass your wood onto a side, you know, so it's gonna cut your piece like this at an angle. I'll show you. I have 2 frames like this. So you see, that's what I was telling you about, the little angle that you see here. This is the second tool I was talking to you about, the one that just does like the finishing touches. So I did this here and also one inside, just so it looks a bit more refined. And we put the attachments. Since this one is a rectangle, I put 2 attachments so I can use it either like this or like this. What I was thinking for this size is to put an 8x10 piece inside, so I would have a 2-inch gap on each side. This is how I calculated this size. So 2 of these. And then my boyfriend made a little one like this. This is very cute with the same finishing touches. And a square one like this. The only thing left to do now is just to stain it, well, to protect it using some oil. I have a linseed oil that I can use. I bought it to do some oil painting, but might as well use it also for this. And then that's it. Then there's gonna be finished. I'll just have to put something inside. So it was super fun to learn how to do this. Now I feel like I could just go back, buy some wood and just create more custom sizes, because custom sizes are, first of all, hard to find and then are very expensive. So I would just have to do that. And also they talked to us about different types of frames, because this is pretty much the biggest size of frame that we can do using this technique, because otherwise it won't be as solid. I could do like a private class, so they would show me how to create more solid frames if I were to make them bigger. Sometimes you do like different techniques to make some reinforcements depending on the size. You also have some frames where you can use thicker wood, but then you do a little groove inside, 2 grooves, so that the artwork doesn't touch the glass, so they're separated by a layer of air. You can do that, which I would love to learn. So I still have a lot to learn, but this is a great first step. And maybe that's what I do when I want to create some frames for these paintings. I think, yeah, none of them fit in the frames that I created. I have to go back. This is where I left off yesterday. I love it so much. I feel like you really see all the height. This is what I was worried about. I felt like this would be the challenge of this painting, is to convey the height, because since I took this picture on the plane, I was pretty high up in the skies, so it kind of has the effect of flatten the image. So I still wanted the viewer to know that this was a rocky landscape, a landscape that had some hills, a lot of different heights. So I feel like I was able to convey that well. I'm very happy about it. And I finally feel like I got back to the style I wanted to get back to, because these ones that I created while I was up north, I feel like they're different than these 2 that I created back here. And I feel like it's due to many reasons. The first one is that I wasn't sure of my color palette, but now I have identified which colors I used up north and I put them aside. So I feel like my color palette fits better. One thing I was doing up north, one thing you can find in all of my images pretty much, is these bubble shapes. You know, all the shapes are rounder and they're separate from the other. So I feel like you really have these round shapes all over in every image. But like for this one, we see it a bit less. There's more blending in between each shapes. For this one, we have these bubbles because we have the rocks. Here we have this new element of see-through water that we didn't have in any of the other paintings. So maybe that's what clashes a little bit. I still like it and I still feel like it fits, but it wasn't perfect cohesion. For this one, I thought maybe we would have a problem because we don't have as much orange as in the others. This picture was taken when I was coming in to Nunavik. It was the beginning of fall and we didn't have these orange colors everywhere. But 3 weeks later, everything was orange like this. So I thought maybe since the color palette is not the same, we would have a problem. But I feel like the style is otherwise very cohesive. So I don't see the problem. I still made an effort to add some areas of orange, which we didn't have in the picture. So I added them so that they would fit with my other paintings. So I just love it so much. This is the first one or the second one I created when I was there. And you really see the different style between this one, let's say, and this one. They're so different and I would like, but you see how each shape is very blended. You don't have a separation between, let's say, this area with that one, whereas here we would have that. So I think that's why I don't like this one as much. I feel like I really came into my style here. It's nice to see the evolution. Today is day 3 of this vlog, I think, and it's gonna be the final day. I applied a second coat of gesso on my board. Now the next thing I'd like to do is to sand it down a little bit, but it's a good thing done finally, and I think that having a white canvas now is going to push me towards completing this project, which I have to admit. I had been avoiding it a little bit just because, you know, when someone asks you to paint something, then it's like the pressure kicks in, and then when there's no deadline, just like push it aside, telling myself I do it later. But now I'm feeling more inspired, and I feel like it's a nice break from the project I'm currently working on. It's gonna happen sooner than, I don't know. It's gonna happen when, I don't know. But we're making a step towards that. It smelled weird after applying the gesso, so I put the air purifier in the room, made it work to the max pretty much for like maybe half an hour, just so that the air would be filtered. Now it smells much better. And what I want to do is finish the painting I'm working on today, and then that's it. It's pretty much all I'm gonna do today, I think. I think that's what ends this vlog. I hope that you enjoyed it. I think we did some interesting stuff. And now I'm just finishing my painting. I'm just adding some final details with pencils. So when that's done, I'll make sure to put a close-up at the end of the video. Yeah, that's it for now. This project is advancing smoothly, I would say. And I'm really looking forward to planning an exhibition, hopefully in the next few months. Thank you so much for watching my video. I will see you soon. Take care.